balanced and complies with the legal and policy requirements for the media.
Ground Zero program is always live, loud and clear, every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on UBC Radio, Butebo FM, West Nile FM and Magic 100 FM, and live stream on YouTube. You can also listen to the repeated broadcast of UBC Ground Zero every Sunday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. UBC Radio, inspiring Uganda. At UBC Radio, all our radio network across the country is committed to inform, entertain, educate and guide for national transformation.
Our own radio, UBC, should set its own example. Leka bano abatafa ku bantu baffe bagumaza ndowooza Muganda kitwa kugumaza to divert people. Let our own UBC bring programs to educate the people so that abagala kugumaza babeereyo bagumaza. They can advise, guide, and people in time will judge the one who is their friend and who is just using them.
Tune into UBC Radios for credible socio-economic programs. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
It's hot.
We passed it. We didn't know exactly what the problem was on the ground. There is no pretending about the effect of this thing. There's no pretending about it. Nobody showed. It's a problem.
It's balanced.
This is not the stage at which you start planning to tax a commodity like coffee, especially from down there.
It's intellectually engaging.
The Constitution provides that the land must be registered under the customer tenure system, which is one of those that's recognized by the Constitution.
Ground Zero Season 2, live and syndicated on your public and national broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda. Welcome to Ground Zero Season 2, a show that brings you in-depth discussion ranging from politics, health, finance, sports, and so much more. Ground Zero Season 2.
Hello, the people of Uganda. Welcome to this edition of UBC Ground Zero. We are broadcasting live from Nile Avenue Broadcast House in the heart of Kampala. Butega is my name, and I welcome you all, our dear listeners, to today's special edition of our program, where we'll be discussing understanding the electoral processes, how informed are Ugandan voters, and we are looking at how best Uganda is prepared or is preparing for the upcoming general elections. Voter education is very important this time, and also we look forward to having that kind of participation that has come to be very critical, especially when it comes to shaping our democratic future. And today we are honored to have distinguished guests who are going to be educating, informing, and also inspiring us today on today's edition of UBC Ground Zero. I welcome you, our dear listener, from the other side of radio, and we're going to have that interesting conversation for the next 2 hours. We're starting now, and a privilege and honor to have in the studios of UBC Tolbert Msinguzi, who is the returning officer coming from Uganda Electoral Commission, Wakiso District. Welcome to this edition, Tolbert.
Thank you very much, the host of the program, and my fellow panelists, and all the listeners. Good morning.
Interesting. We also have a big privilege and honor to have Dr. Rollins Kabagabe, Serwambala, Executive Director coming from Interparty Organization for Dialogue, or you call it IPOD. Welcome, Dr. Rollins.
Thank you, Amon. Good morning, listeners. Happy to be here.
We're also glad to have you on this edition. We're also expecting Honorable Fungal Kaps Hassan, who is the Deputy President, FDC, or Forum for Democratic Change, Northern Uganda, and is the MP Emeritus of Bongi District, now West Nile. I know you're tuning in from West Nile Radio. We are on UBC Radio on 98.0 FM, in Kampala 99.4 FM, in Rila, and also 97.4 FM in Arua. We're also live and clear on another radio station that is part of us from the other side of eastern Uganda, and that is Butebo Radio. In case you are in Mbale, we are 96.9 FM. In case you are in Soroti, we're 98.4 FM. And we're also live and clear on another radio station in West Nile, which is West Nile Radio in the heart of Arua City. You can get it on 98.0 FM. And we're also live and clear on another radio station that is Magic 100 FM or Magic Radio in Kampala, and that covers all the central parts of Kampala. They're also live and clear on another radio station that is Voice of Bondbujo. And we're also streaming live on YouTube. You just put UBC Radio and you'll be part of the conversation. As we start, I have to tell you that we do value and also consider your views. In case you want to participate in this program, you can reach out to us on 776-511-426 by calling it and also sending your messages. I'll be reading your messages and tell us what you think, share your perspectives or concern to be addressed by my guest in the studios. That is the topic that we're going to discuss today. In today's edition of UBC Ground Zero, we are having less than 500 days to the general elections, and we're also talking about some of the activities that are already taking place. The roadmap is out, and we have the returning officer from the Electoral Commission who is going to be updating us on a number of activities that are already ongoing and how should the people of Uganda be prepared to be participate in the 2026 elections. And we also have the president of IPOD, and is going to be telling us how political parties play in this kind of exercise before we reach 2026, whereby we're going to be fidgeting. Allow me start with you, Tolbert, and to update us on a number of activities, but also informing the people of Uganda, especially your mandate as Electoral Commission, but how far you are fulfilling that very noble mandate.
Okay, thank you very much, Amon. As Electoral Commission, our mandate is to ensure that we hold regular, free and fair elections. And this is done every 5 years for general elections. But in between, we can always have by-elections arising out of different reasons. Now to our topic. Yes, it's true. The journey is on to 2026. And I'd like to inform our listeners that this journey is guided by Article 61.2 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda that mandates the Electoral Commission to hold presidential, general, parliamentary and local government council elections within the first 30 days of the last 122 days of the expiry of the term of office of the president. Now, what does this mean? It means that now the term of office for this current election office bearers expires on the 12th of May 2026. So if you do the math, those are 4 months. So you have to calculate backwards to 30 days of the 122. And that gives us January and the first week of Feb. So our dear listeners of UBC, the elections of 2026 will be in January, and by the first week of Feb we shall be done. Now, as the Electoral Commission, we released our guiding tool, which was the roadmap, revised in August this year, but had been released in August last year. What are we doing now towards the 2026 election? Dear listeners, as the Electoral Commission, before an election happens, there are foundational activities that must be done that will determine whether we are going to have an election. One is demarcation of electoral areas. What are electoral areas? Electoral areas, these are where people contest, where people stand and say, I'm contesting to be an MP, I'm contesting to be a councillor, I'm contesting to be a president. These are the electoral areas. So the Electoral Commission has to do an audit and ascertain that do we have these positions, and they are not Electoral Commission sit and say we must have an here. No, it's a creature of the law that we have a position, an elective position of a president. We have an elective position of a member of parliament. We have an elective position of a district chairperson. We have an elective position of a mayor in the cities. We have an elective position of councillors that form the councils on the different different levels, as we shall see them along. Now, having ascertained that we have the positions, the next is to audit the polling stations. Polling station, this is where the person goes and exercises his or her civic right of determining who becomes his or her leader. That is where we place the box. That is where the decision is made from. That is where the right is exercised from. And that is the polling stations. So these two elements are very, very critical in any election that we are going to hold. So they are the first that we do, and we have done them. We had this activity in August. It was for 10 days in the field, the whole country, from the 6th to the 16th of August 2024, this year. So we have reorganized all polling stations in the whole country. We have audited all of them. We have also visited all electoral areas. We have done the analysis of all electoral areas to ascertain, do they still exist? Like when we talk of demarcation, we can authoritatively state that there are positions which are still as they were in 2021. The position of the presidency, Uganda is still one. We have cleared that one. When we come to members of parliament, the listeners and the host and the colleague, as you know, government put a moratorium on the creation of administrative units. So we have not had new districts coming up. We have not had new since 2021. So the status quo as far as that administrative unit is concerned are still the same. We're still 146 districts and the different sub-counties and the town councils. Now, when it comes to the councillors, when we're doing demarcation of councils, the determination of how many councillors form a particular council is determined by the Local Government Act on demarcation of electoral areas, and it gives us a population quota that we base on to determine how many councillors are going to move to which council. And this we have done across the country. The numbers that we had based on, and this is the determination of councils basing on the formula of the population quota, is grounded in the numbers as released by UBOS, the census numbers of those of voting age. So we look at that to determine how the councils are going to stand. Now, when we're doing demarcation, we discovered that now the Local Government Act was amended as we're going to elections of 2021. And as you know, the law does not act retrospectively. So it was amended as we were already into the process of the elections. So the numbers we based on for demarcating electoral areas of 2021 were the census that had been done before. So we didn't move to that population, we moved with that. Now, when we're coming to 2024, we again use the same numbers. Why? Because we had not yet received the results of the census. So, now, the amendment of the law increased the population quota. Where a councillor represent going to the town council was carrying 3,000. Now it was moved to 6,000. When it was 6,000, it moved to 15,000. Where it was like 15,000, it moved to 70,000 or 17,000. That meant that some electoral areas had to be merged to raise this population quota. So that's what you had when we were doing demarcation, that the councils were reducing. Councils were reducing, councillors were reducing. And we have worked on this, and the number of councils across the country reduced. So that is demarcation. And we are done with that activity. We are now fine-tuning all the results, and as it is the norm with the Electoral Commission, whatever we do, we bring it back to the public for display. All these activities, reorganization, demarcation, is not done by us in the offices, no. These are field activities we involve the public, because this is a public good.
Did you involve the public when you are designing that roadmap?
Absolutely. My brother of iPod will attest to this, that they've had a number
What
of
are some of the
engagements.
stakeholders that, apart from iPod that you've just mentioned, what are others that you consult or work with or pattern with, especially when coming with that roadmap? Because I believe that it is that roadmap that guides all the activities, especially when we're talking about pre-election events.
And now, the stakeholders usually use, when you talk of iPod is an organization that takes up all basic stakeholders involved in the electoral activity. So when they are on board, everybody is on board. Political parties, civil society organizations, media, observers. So we have an amalgamation of all stakeholders when we are doing this work.
Interesting. Let me bring in Dr. Rollins. Come back to you, but especially on the roadmap and other prevent activities. Dr. Rollins, iPod mandate, where do your activities or mandate start and where do they end? Are you only limited to political parties? Tolbert is crossing you to the civil society. Would love to know how you cross there or how you work with them. But when we talk about the pre-end activities, pre-elections activities, how do you come in as someone that deal with the political parties?
Thank you very much, Amon. First of all, Tolbert has given a good preamble that in this process of, in this electoral process, elections are a process, although a number of people pin them to the particular day of casting a ballot. But it's a process. And a product is as good as its process. So if the process has been, electoral process has been consultative and it was done well, then you expect that the elections will equally be a reflection of that process. Now, as iPod, one of our existing is espoused in our objectives. And one of our objectives is to pursue and promote the fundamental principles of democracy and good governance. Now, elections are one of the anchors of democracy. Now, we know that the Electoral Commission in itself cannot claim or cannot be, and it's not only in Uganda, it's worldwide. Electoral management bodies are not the only ones that we could say are at the center or the beginning and the end of these processes. There are many other actors. Like he has said, in iPod we have political parties, and these political parties are central because the candidates that the Electoral Commission superintend over come from the political parties who are our member, constituent bodies. But again, like I've said, that there are so many actors out there that equally pursue the objective of democracy and good governance. The media, he has talked about that. In actual fact, one of the things that we want to, for instance, we will be engaging is the media, because the media has the ability to cause chaos, to distort democracy, to distort good governance, and all create the ideal in terms of democracy and good governance. So yes, the media, civil society organizations. I will tell you that we work with quite a number of civil society organizations, and on several occasions we engage them and say, well, there is this. We want to, for instance, engage in something to do with peaceful elections, voter education. So we bring them together. And of course engage. Now, how political parties engage with the Tolbert has talked about the roadmap. There are several engagements that political parties individually and even in a collective formation under IPOD have engaged with the Electoral Commission. First of all, the initial roadmap that the Electoral Commission issued was a product of input from various stakeholders, including political parties, and even us as IPOD. Now, even when it was revised, of course, informed by the context and the timelines, including the fact that, you know, funds availability, inadequate or not, Electoral Commission has still engaged with us. And I want to commend the Commission because they could have chosen to simply say, well, we are making adjustments in the roadmap to reflect the current demands or context, and just shared it out. But they've engaged stakeholders left and right, everywhere. I want to tell you, Amon, that in IPOD we have, as recent as the last month of September, had time with the Commission. We have engaged with them, again on the roadmap, to see, okay, how do political parties support the Commission in the actualization of that roadmap. Otherwise, if we were to sit back and say, well, this is a role of the Commission, at the end of the day, if the Commission did things on its own, we would find ourselves as political parties in a situation that we are either complaining because of a few inadequacies that are a result of not consulting us, or would simply throw in a towel and say, let them do as they please. So, yes, we have interacted with the Commission, particularly, of course, among other things. Like Tolbert has said, in the first 30 days of the last 90, it's a bit, you know, right now every effort of political parties are geared towards that. And the listeners also ought to realize that this roadmap, whereas it looks at the national elections, it has a ripple effect on the democratic processes within political parties, because there is a timeline when political parties are expected to have done their internal democratic processes, like the delegates conferences. There's a time when they should have gone all that, make the returns and all that. So it is imperative that political parties have by default to align themselves to this roadmap.
I thought you are the overseer of when it comes to political parties' activities. For those that have not complied or had such activities take place within their within themselves, where do you come in as IPOD? Do you just let them do as they wish and you keep watching?
First of all, the registrar or the regulator of political parties, in according to the law, is the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission is the regulator, and they are the register. They are the registrars of political parties. So by mandate, political parties have to file and make returns to the to Electoral Commission. Now, for us, what we do as IPOD, we play a supplementary role. first of all, like I said, when we talk of good governance, you cannot give what you don't have. So if one of our major objectives is to pursue democracy and good governance, then it must start, before we think of it at a national level, it must start from within the political parties. And so some of the things we do, I can give you an example. Like during the last cycle, because political parties have not yet done their delegates conferences, I think apart from FDC, which did that and subsequently changed the leadership, but the other parties have not. But in the last cycle, electoral cycle, one of the things we did is we supported our member parties to do lots of things, including holding delegates conferences through which these leaders came, the current crop of leaders. And so these are some of the things, because you see, a party will tell you that, yes, we are supposed to do this, but we are incapacitated. How do we then, should we just look on and say, well, keep warm and well fed? No. We get out of our way, support them to ensure that despite the challenges they are going through, there is a semblance of good practice. Otherwise, if a party is not able to do that, what do you expect if they take over power and leadership of this country?
Okay.
They will simply postpone elections and say, no, we are not able to. So that's why we continuously encourage them to get into these things.
Looking at, is it Article 29 of the Constitution that guarantees freedom of association? They allow also the political parties to form and operate freely. How is IPOD ensuring that this freedom is exercised equally among all political parties, those that have been there, those that have just been introduced, those that are coming to be established, and those that are already in that majority are in opposition? Because many people have bided to IPOD sidelining with some of the political parties, NRM, DP, and I would love to see how you are incorporating the other political parties.
First of all, it is erroneous for anyone to think that IPOD inclines itself to any of the political parties, largely because the Memorandum of Understanding of the political parties that is signed by all these parties gives equal power. NRM, with its vast majority of members in parliament, over 2/3, has the same powers in IPOD, just like Justice Forum with one member of parliament, and all PPP, People's Progressive Party, with one member of parliament. And so the argument that IPOD is inclined to one of the parties with superior numbers does not suffice. Nevertheless, Article 29 that you've talked about, that ensures freedoms of interaction, recruitment, and all that. I will tell you that during the last cycle of elections, one of the things that IPOD did so much was to work with other stakeholders to ensure that there is a political parties code of conduct. I think it's Schedule 4 of the Political Parties and Organizations Act. Now, that in itself gives equal right, at least by law, to every political party. And I will tell you that we have even engaged the Electoral Commission and said, you as the regulators, at least by law, of the political parties, some parties have come to us complaining. They've come to IPOD complaining that, some member parties are not respecting and adhering to the letter and spirit of the code of conduct, because that's supposed to regulate how people interact and engage. And the Electoral Commission has also told us that, yes, we are, but these are your people. You should be also tell them that, look, you've gone overboard and all that. IPOD is not a law enforcement agency. What we can do is to simply say that, well, in accordance with the principles of good governance, equality, fairness, you ought to be doing things this way. Now, we will play our role. But if a member party, on their own volition, chooses to go out there and do things on the contrary, then it becomes difficult for us to say we are cracking a whip on you. Because there is, like we've said, this process is multi-stakeholder. There are so many. The police have a role to play. The army have a role to play. Electoral Commission, the media, and all that. And so, I should say that yes, we play our role. We remind members and say, but there is this. I can, for instance, tell you that one of the things we are planning to engage, I think it should be around next year, around Feb or March. We are planning to go to all our member parties and remind and take them through the code of conduct, the political parties' code of conduct, because that is pivotal in the exercising of their drive to recruit, to engage, and to disseminate their messages out there. Because we believe once they do that, then there should be no reason whatsoever why they should get into altercation with security out there.
Interesting. Tulbert, in the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda 1995, as amended, the Electoral Commission is to ensure compliance of Article, 69? That mandates the Commission to organize regular, free, and fair elections. But when it comes to 2025, people are already saving to travel, expecting some violence. I'm wondering, what are some of the steps that we must know as the people of Uganda, as the voters, but also as those who are willing to participate in the elections, maybe the candidates or the political parties? What are some of the steps that you, the Commission, are taking to ensure that these candidates or these political parties don't violate this provision of this article, especially when it comes to campaigns?
Engagement. As the Commission, that is our key tool. Engagement. Together as one informed unit. Amon, what causes all this and this anticipation of violence and what is when we are not moving as a unit. We are heading one direction, then the others are not aware where we are going. So what we are doing as Electoral Commission is to ensure that all stakeholders are moving with us. How do we do that? By disseminating this roadmap. Because once we are together with all our stakeholders on every stage that we are taking, the understanding everything we are doing, the transparency, the openness that drives the Commission is being seen visibly in action, not just in talking, then the levels of violence will not be there and people will not even anticipate that. That is why we are on all social media. We are now on radios, we are on TV, preaching the gospel of the roadmap. So that what is happening at what time, that is, once everyone knows what is happening at what time, then the issue of disinformation that usually leads to violence will not be there. Like I have already mentioned, we have just finished 2 critical activities that determine actually that violence we talk about. The violence in the campaigns, the violence at polling day comes from the foundational activities that we have done, demarcation and reorganization. Now, everyone in the country knows where their polling stations are located. All what is remaining is a confirmation with display and gazetting. Because we involve communities. The communities gave us these areas. They know where we're going to vote from. So no one will come and spread information and say Electoral Commission has created good polling stations. They want to rig elections. It will not be there. Because we have had an interaction. We have had meetings, reorganization meetings, where even the attendees have signed our attendance registers as confirmation that true, we participated in telling the Electoral Commission that you bring this polling station here. This is where we meet. We have participated with stakeholders in the creation of electoral areas. no one can come and say the Electoral Commission put here a councillor, and yet we don't know how that councillor was created. They created an area for a particular interest. No. We've had meetings, and those who attended have attested to it by even having an attendance register. So the foundational work that usually creates the violence that people anticipate is now done. The next activity which we are moving to is also very critical on the roadmap. That will be in January. That is update of the National Voters Register. Violence also germinates from a register with irregularities. So now that we have done the polling stations, people know where to vote from. We have done the electoral areas, people know where they are going to contest. Now, the next critical period is the register. People in the register. We are going to update the National Voters Register 1 to ensure that all those who have attained the age of 18 are in the register in their respective areas where they want to vote from, because the choice is on the voter. Electoral Commission ensures that you either register where you are residing or where you originate from. The choice is for the voter. So in January, we shall ensure that all voters, even those who are registered before, it's also a period for you. Because you see, initially, we do have update purely for registering fresh voters. Then we do the display. The display is also another important activity for confirmation. But now the Electoral Commission actually does display 2 times. We display even when we are updating, so that even those who had registered before can still come and reconfirm that they exist in the register. So that if someone wants to apply for a transfer, they apply for a transfer from an informed point of view that yes, I'm existing in the Kayunga register, but now I want to transfer and be in Arua, where I want to vote from.
But it seems still, but you're talking about those especially who are urban residents. I'm thinking about those hard-reach areas where people always complain that they are not found in the register, they are in another parish, and when it comes to the day of voting. And I'm wondering, what is the Electoral Commission doing differently this time in this election cycle to ensure that even those places, hard-reach areas, have this voter education reaching out to them?
We are there. We are there because the Electoral Commission has offices all over the country, and we have staff up to the parish.
Then how come we reach at the D-Day and people don't know where they're supposed to be voting from?
Now, that comes to the spirit of the people, which we are now trying to awaken, that please move with us. How does it happen, Amon? It happens that now we have done reorganization of polling stations. We have created, when we are reorganizing, we create new polling stations for areas that didn't have. We split those with the numbers which are above the optimum to reduce congestion on polling stations. When we split, it means a polling station has now 2. Then we rename and relocate. Once we have done this, if the other time you are voting from UBC, and that is where your alphabet was starting A. Now that we have split this polling station, we find you have another one at maybe Kingdom. Now, when do we involve? Why are we saying we should move together? So that when it comes to update in January, Amon moves and comes to UBC, because when we're updating, we're at parish level. We reduce the distances so that it is affordable for everyone to access our services. When it comes to display, the register is put at the polling station. If a polling station is in your village, no village crosses to another to vote. The polling station is in your village, and it is usually located where, as we're having election meetings. So our main emphasis is to encourage the public to move with us, because once you move with us during this period of update and display, you will have discovered beyond reasonable doubt that I exist in this polling station. So the issue of saying on polling day, I'm not in the register, will not accrue. Why? Because you have been moving with us. And when we are done with update and display, and people have confirmed that they are in the register, it's very critical, and I would encourage all listeners of UBC, please let us ensure that we are in the National Voters Register. Come January, because this period we shall have, in January we are updating all registers. I'm going to go through how many registers we have. Because we have the National Voters Register that carries everybody. Then we have special interest groups, where we have the youth, we have the PWDs, we have the older persons, we have workers, we have representatives of professional bodies, we have like UPDF in Parliament. So all these registers are also under update and under display. So it is a voter to pick interest and say, yes, I'm in the National Voters Register. True, I also want to participate as a worker. I want to be in the youth. I want to be in the PWDs. I want to be in the older persons. This is the period to ascertain your right to vote. How do you ascertain that? By ensuring that you are in the National Voters Register. So in January, we shall be updating the whole country to ensure that voters confirm their existence in the registers.
Interesting. We've been joined by Honorable Fungalu Caps Hassan joining us this edition of UBC Ground Zero. It is a privilege having you on the show, Honorable. And Honorable is the Deputy President of Forum for Democratic Change and also is the MP Emeritus of Bongi District. Welcome on this edition, sir.
Thank you very much, my brother. I would like to thank you, the management and staff of UBC Radio. I would like also to salute my colleagues, the guests and panelists in these discussions. I salute you, my brothers. My dear listeners who have tuned in to this program, welcome and thank you very much for tuning in.
Interesting. I'm going to get back to you, Honorable, on a number of issues to be addressed in this program. Dr. Rowlands, I'm looking at voter education or civic education, which is very important, especially during this time before we come to the registrar, as Tolbert is talking about, finding out where they are supposed to be voting from. Where do the political parties come in, especially when it comes to civic education?
Thank you very much. First of all, the voter education is a mandate of the Electoral Commission, and civic education is a mandate of the Human Rights Commission. But, the two of them, if you're going to be a good citizen, to participate in the election of your voters, in the election of your leaders, you are exercising your civic duty. And that is the nexus between civic and voter education. But that said, Electoral Commission being...
So the candidates, the political parties, the iPod, they have no role to play, especially when educating their voters?
No. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that, these roles, for any functional state, these roles must be appended to a body that has to do them as their primary mandate. So that's why I'm saying that the primary mandate of voter education lies with the Electoral Commission. That doesn't mean, though, that other actors cannot. Okay? And that's why Electoral Commission, for instance, when it comes to voter education, is in charge and controls the quality and what kind of information any other actor puts out. Otherwise, there could be lots of misinformation and disinformation. So if any actor is to engage in voter education, then they engage with the Electoral Commission. I, for instance, remember in the last elections, Electoral Commission had to, for instance, approve the messages various actors from civil society and whatever would take their messages to Electoral Commission, and the Electoral Commission would approve them. Now, political parties have a very big role to play, very, very big. And that's why I said that in actual fact, for a functional democracy, if the political parties did not exist, Electoral Commission, the work of the Electoral Commission would literally about a functional democracy. What role do political parties play? First of all, the voters on the register of Electoral Commission are members from political parties because they have subscribed to a certain ideology. They believe in a certain direction that a political party wants to take them. And so they say, we are going to subscribe to this party because we believe this is a vehicle to take us to where we want. So the voters on the EC register are voters on the registers of political parties. Because political parties also have their registers. That is the first thing. Then secondly, if political parties are going to try to endear themselves to the public, they definitely have to speak to them in a manner that encourages them to buy into their agenda and vote for them accordingly. So, Honorable Caps Fungaru here, even though he's a member of FDC, it is incumbent upon him to even go to an area that is full of NRM supporters to tell them to do the right thing on the election day, or even in that process. For instance, go make sure that you're on the register, update your details. If you want to shift from one polling station to another, he also has a duty to do it, regardless of his political affiliation, because it is from these people that he's going to get, or that is trying to get the votes.
All right. Interesting. Honorable Fongalu, welcome again to this edition. When someone saw the poster and was asking me, is he from which FDC? Is it the Katonga or the Entebbe Road? And I had no answer. But now we're going to have it from the horse's mouth. This house seems to be divided, and we are coming to 2025 when we expect FDC to take part, especially in the general elections, and we look forward to it as one of the strongest and a long-standing political party in this country. Welcome again.
Thank you.
How is FDC?
Thank you. FDC is strong, alive, and focused on its mission. As recent as yesterday, but we had our National Council meeting. The National Council meeting, first of all, the National Council is the second highest organ of policy making in the party governance. The first one is the Delegates Conference. The organs of the FDC are functioning. They are leaders who are capable, who are competent, who are focused on the running of the party.
Which FDC are you talking about, Honorable?
FDC is one. As per the state of Uganda, and as per any country, a party that exists must have an address. And the FDC that exists in the register as per the Electoral Commission, and therefore as per the laws of Uganda, is based at Najanankumbi. And that's where I am from. I am the Deputy President in charge of Northern Uganda, with the FDC headquarters based at Najanankumbi.
That is very...
Talk of as a Katonga Road, you could have talked of it as a faction, but a faction as defined, it's an English term, English word meaning just a small segment. So Najanankumbi cannot be a segment. That's the main body. You can have segments like Katonga Road, and you can have segments like others if they exist. But now the issue of Katonga Road as being a segment of the FDC, a faction of the FDC, has come to an end, because the people at the Katonga Road have declared the formation of a different political party. The Electoral Commission has okayed, and they are in the process of finalizing those arrangements. This is not the first. There were others who came out before. We had the ANT, led by General Mugisa Muntu. We also had the giraffe of Madam Betty Kamia, all those segments which came away from the...
It's not the first time you're hit by the storm.
It's not the first time we are hit by the storm, and FDC has survived the storm. Actually, that was the message in our National Council yesterday, but one. So, members of the Forum for Democratic Change as a party, I would like to urge you to remain strong. We have survived the storm.
Not once, not twice.
Yes. We are going to emerge stronger. And this is not limited to FDC only. It is not unique in our country only. Just where there is a political party of the opposition or a revolutionary organization that has taken long to achieve its goals, there comes a time in history, life cycle, a time of contradictions, internal contradictions, when the big shots in the party begin rivaling for positions of power and influence, they contradict the mission, the philosophy of the party, and they turn against each other. We have so many examples to borrow from. If you go to the history of South Africa, the liberation struggle of the African people there, the black people had one mission, but they had a divided leadership, divided organizations. They turned against each other. If you also go to South Sudan, this is the nearest and the most living example you can see. The SPLM was formed in 1983, and they fell into factions fighting against each other in a bloody way. Some even joined the enemy camp, I can use that term. But some in the mainstream and main direction, those who went came back. And this is what is happening in FDC. The people who went out are coming back. Even we received some with clear testimonies in the National Council meeting of yesterday, but one, the 18th of October 2024. So I would like to tell you with confidence that FDC is there and FDC is prepared for the 2026 elections. And as I come here, I would like to bring you this message from the FDC that we are focused on the elections of 2026. However, we would like to take this message forward to the people that there are steps to get to any election, and we are in the preparatory process. Political parties have a role to play in that process of preparation for elections. The role of a political party, number one, as provided for, especially political parties of the opposition, as provided for in the Constitution, are one, to seek for political power, because we are there to seek for political power and to bring regime change through elections. That's one. Secondly, to provide checks and balances. If that process of elections and that stage has not worked out, for example, we went for any elections, things happened in the elections, we were not declared as the winner by the Electoral Commission, then we remained in the opposition. Still, we have a role to play. That one of providing checks and balances to the way systems of government work. Now, even in the preparatory stages for elections, we have a role to play. There are 3 stages which need to be looked at. 1, before the election. 2, during the elections. 3, after the elections. What happens? The people who vote are not necessarily members of a political party. I would like to disagree with my colleague, the previous speaker here, that the voters are members of political party. Not every voter is a member of political party. Members of political party are registered, and they are not as many as the voters in the country. In certain countries like Britain, the number of voters of a political party is much. I mean, the members of a political party is a very small segment of the total number of voters in the country, and this is true for our case in Uganda. There are some people who are members of FDC, others are members of UPC, others are members of NRM, others are members of DP. But there are those who are also members of other political parties. I may not list all of them, but they are members of any of these political parties. What they wait for is the message coming from each political party in terms of its manifesto, the promises, the programs that the party comes up with that give us power and authority, give us the mandate, give us the permission Once we take power, we shall do for you A, B, C, D. Once these ones are marketable to the people, then people give you the votes. So I would like to also, I would just want to say here that not every voter is a member of a political party. There are those who are not members of any political party. Now, and the majority, we as a members and leaders of political parties have got to prepare ourselves to make sure that we are ready by shaping the internal and the external environment in which these voters are going to work and members of a political party, leaders of a political party are going to work.
Honorable, when you talk about shaping the environment, but also the mechanisms and also platforms to ensure that we have fair elections, we cannot fail to talk about elections reforms. Yes. Are there some of the reforms that FDC is proposing, perhaps advocating for, that we must follow to ensure that we have free and fair elections in the upcoming general elections 2026?
Definitely, yes. First of all, FDC was formed in 2024 on the 16th of December. We went for the first elections in
2024?
No, 2004.
Okay.
2004.
You're celebrating about 20 years.
No, yeah, it is about 20 years.
Of
2004 on the 16th of December. That was when FDC was formed. We went for our first elections in 2006. Then the second election 2011, third 2016. So we have some experiences, and then 2024. 2021. We as FDC and together with our other sister organizations came under what is known as Inter-Party Organization for Dialogue, IPOD, and in 2015 a whole set of electoral reforms proposed. I have a document here. This document is comprehensive. It covers all elections in Uganda: presidential elections, parliamentary, local council 5, up to 3, up down 1, including the special interest groups. Now we have a new one added, the elders. The elders have been added to the youth, to the PWD, etc. So these electoral reforms are there. But in the interest of time, I would like to cite a few of them, which we need to be put in place before we go to the elections of 2021. Number one, the role of the Electoral Commission, number one. The independence of the Electoral Commission, even without going into the details. This is an issue. The Electoral Commission's roles must be clearly defined, and the independence of the Electoral Commission must be guaranteed by the new law, which comes from here. The Electoral Commission must not function as an appendage of the ruling government. And this has got to do with the way the Electoral Commission is established. The top leaders are appointed, the commissioners, including the chairman of the Electoral Commission. All these people must have the way of serving independently without any undue influence from anyone, including the head of state and the ruling party. Because this is one problem which we see. The Electoral Commission, by the way, there are people there also who have brains, who want things to work right. But sometimes they find themselves pushed against the wall. Then the second area of electoral reforms is the role of the army and the role of the police, the armed forces generally. Elections in Uganda, when you see them being conducted, they appear like military operations. You see military presence more than even the Electoral Commission. Sometimes the Electoral Commission disappears. It doesn't appear like they are there. But when they are there, because the people who come and take part in the elections, more so in by-elections, appear to be military people. You see members, police, even when there is no call for them.
But also, Honorable Fungaru, you know that our elections are marked by violence. What do you expect security personnel to do? Sit and watch?
The army, begin with the army. The army is supposed to protect the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Uganda. They're supposed to be in the barracks until when they are needed. And they must be ready 24/7. So they must be in the barracks. Their barracks is all over Uganda. Then secondly, the police The police need to be prepared for this. There are cases where there is even no need for a huge deployment of the army, let alone the police, and you find the army is there. They are the ones who start the violence. They're the ones who start beating people. They are the ones who start interfering with the work of political parties. Now, when you go to the law, the Organizations and the Political Parties and Organizations Act, there is this thing. This one is more of need for civic education. Public meetings, the regulation and control of public meetings. Political parties have a role to play in preparing themselves. Like now, even the Electoral Commission has already started. As soon as the Electoral Commission doors are open, the political party doors must be open. Actually, the political party doors must be open even before the one of the Electoral Commission. So, the Electoral Commission goes around to the districts to look at its structures there, to look at its people there. And the party leaders and members also need to organize themselves. There are meetings which are not public meetings, but when you organize a meeting of a party in the district, the police will come in and say, did you get permission? First of all, we are not supposed to get permission. Even for a public meeting, we are supposed to inform the police as per the law. But now, you find this law is being abused. Even members of the NRM who are elected to office on NRM ticket, like LC3 chairpersons, like LC1 chairpersons, LC5 chairpersons. I see it in Obongi, in my place there. They want to behave like the police. When we members of the FDC are organizing our FDC things, meetings, which are party organ meetings, they are not public meetings, you find them running around, stopping us, calling the police, bringing in the RRDC. So the role of these state agencies, like the RRDC, the DISO, the police, must be properly regulated in the law. And the NRM elected leaders must understand that every political party has its role, even NRM. If you want to organize a meeting like the one we did yesterday, this one of National Council, this one you don't need to seek for permission from anybody. You don't need to inform anyone. This is a party organ meeting. District meetings, sub-county meetings, or party leaders and party members, you don't need to inform even the police unless you suspect that there's going to be a problem. Then within you as party members, then you can say you alert the police. Now, what we see here is the environment in which the political organizations work, the political parties work. It is hostile and it is bad. It needs to be shaped up through a proper dialogue involving members of the Electoral Commission, members of the armed forces, the police, the army, the intelligence, including the GISOs and the DISOs. They must understand this. Political parties are there by law. They don't need permission to exist. They don't need permission to have meetings in their respective organs, party organs. If it is a public meeting is one where attendance is not limited. Members of even other political parties can come and participate. It's like a public rally, a meeting which you put in a public place. That is what is called a public meeting. But this one is where we have a problem. Finally, there is also on this issue, the issue of the press, the fourth estate, you people who are here.
The media.
The media, we have seen you suffering. Both the mainstream media and the social media. You find interferences coming to your work. Many journalists have been tortured. Some have even been killed. Their gadgets are destroyed. And this is just in the attempt of protecting the NRM. Because any report you give, if it is going to make NRM appear bad, or even if not NRM to appear bad, but the opposition to appear good, even without mentioning the name NRM, they say you are reporting badly. They want to take away your camera. They want to take away your recorder. They want to beat you up. So we would like to make sure that the law and the practice must be put right between now and the time we go to the polls of 2026.
Interesting. Thank you, Honorable Fungalo Caps Hassan. I'm taking a very short break, and when I return, I'll be reading your messages. I can see a number of them already coming in, and keep them coming through. After the break, I'll be reading your messages to be addressed by my guests in the studios of UBC, but you can as well call on 776 511 426. The number is 776 511 426. We are discussing understanding the electoral processes, how informed are Ugandan voters. I'm taking a short break. I'm coming back in just a bit. I pray you don't go away.
This is Ground Zero Season 2. Stay tuned. We shall be right back. It's hot.
We passed it. We didn't know exactly what the problem was on the ground. There is no pretending about the effect of this thing. There's no pretending about it. Nobody should. It's a problem.
It's balanced.
This is not the stage at which you start planning to tax a commodity like coffee, especially from down there.
It's intellectually engaging.
The Constitution provides that the land must be registered under the customer tenure system, which is one of those that's recognized by the Constitution.
Ground Zero Season 2, live and syndicated on your public and national broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
At UBC Radio, all our radio network across the country is committed to inform, entertain, educate, and guide for national transformation.
Our own radio, UBC, should set its own example. Leka bano abatafa ku bantu baffe bagumaza ndowooza muganda kito kugumaza to divert people. Let our own UBC bring programs to educate the people so that abagala kugumaza babeereyo bagumaza naye naffe they can advise, guide. And people in time will judge the one who is their friend and who is just using them.
Tune into UBC Radios for credible socio-economic programs. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
At UBC Radio, we broadcast in English, Kiswahili, and Luo, loud and clear, border to border. Keep it at UBC Radio, inspiring Uganda.
Don't miss UBC Radio Ground Zero every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We host credible and relevant guests to discuss pertinent issues of national importance aimed at addressing people's concerns.
As a country, if we don't fight this vice of corruption seriously and with honest opinion without any bias, things will not be good for us.
UBC Radio Ground Zero, right here on UBC Radio.
UBC, ensure that the information you give out is factual but also objective, balanced, and complies with the legal and policy requirements for the media.
Ground Zero program is always live, loud and clear, every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on UBC Radio, Butebo FM, West Nile FM, and Magic 100 FM, and live stream on YouTube. You can also listen to the repeated broadcasts of UBC Ground Zero every Sunday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. UBC Radio, inspiring Uganda.
Welcome back. Ground Zero Season 2 continues.
Welcome back from that very short break. This is UBC Ground Zero. Ambere Amon Ortega is my name, and I do have a big privilege and honor to have in the studios of UBC a very special team of guests who are discussing understanding the electoral processes, how informed are Ugandan voters. We are looking at a number of issues that we need to know as the people of Uganda, especially before we cross to 2025 and 2026, where we'll be going into the general elections. In the studios, we have Honorable Fungalu Kaps Hassan, is the Deputy President, Forum for Democratic Change, FDC, representing Northern Uganda, and also is the MP Emeritus Obonge constituency. We do have Dr. Lawrence Kawagabe Serwambala, is the Executive Director, Interparty Organization for Dialogue, call it IPOD. And also we do have a privilege and honor to have Tolbert Msinguzi. He is the returning officer coming from Uganda Electoral Commission, Wakiso District. And it is time now we consider your perspectives and your views on this special edition of UBC Ground Zero. The number is 776-511-426. Tell us what you think. Ground Zero?
Yes, I'm on. You're live at the best one.
Thank you, Joe.
Juma.
You're live and clear.
Thank you. And a greeting for the to the panelists with you there in this.
All right.
I would like you, with the public who are hearing UBC right now, to take note of these 7 segments I've jotted down. The electoral commissions, the security agencies, the civil servants, the journalists, opposition political party participants, and the ruling party, and then public themselves. Electoral commissions, sometimes they are biased. These electoral commissioners of Uganda here, all they can do best to serve at the side of the ruling party. I don't know whether there have been some rumors that some of them, they are holding those offices under appointment of His Excellency the President. And there is an order like, if you rule this in favor of opposition, you'll be kicked out of the office or you'll go to jail, which is not exist in the democratic country. Security agencies, your police, your mandate and responsibility you hold. You are accountable for the citizens of this country. Now, when you come, also you don't show your integrity to serve the nation. It's like you're serving the individuals who are. We need some improvement with them.
Okay.
The civil servants, there are some of them who are still running the office, and by the law, they're allowed to participate in political arenas. And some of them, they need first, and they take the opportunity to campaign or
Your
to
last,
whatever.
Your last comment, sir.
My last comment, I'm coming, journalists.
Mm.
Some of the journalists, their gadgets are being destroyed. They have been given lane not to cross.
Okay.
And yet, at the end of the day, the public, they want to know what happened yesterday. And
Thank
how
you.
about the
Thank you.
opposition are being mistreated?
Thank you, Juma.
They need to go and ask police for going to gather their meetings. Why?
Okay. Let's give also a chance to others to share their perspective. 776-511-426 is the number you can call and share your perspective. Ground Zero.
Hello, UBC.
You're live and clear.
I'm Dennis calling from Tororo.
All right, your concern, sir?
The problem I have with the Electoral Commission, they are not independent. I don't know why. Because when other political parties are on their rally, for them they don't act. And that's the problem with them. So by this time around, we need them to act. Let other parties also be free when they are in their political affairs.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome,
Thank
sir.
you.
I like the way you have kept time. UBC Ground Zero.
Yeah, good morning to you and our visitors in the studio.
A very good morning to you. Your name and where you're calling us from?
I'm called Guma. It is my first time to call Ground Zero.
Thank you so much.
And the money goes to everyone.
You're calling from where?
From Atuga.
Atuga.
I'm called Guma.
Okay.
Money goes to security agencies, you, the media people,
Mm.
and the Electoral Commission, even the ruling party.
Okay.
What we need to do, election is coming. Everything we do should be for God and my country, not for me and myself. I thank you.
Thank you so very much, sir. Glad that you also participated in this program. All right. 776-511-426. Tell us what you think. Okay. Some messages coming through from the other listeners on the other side of radio. ABC Ground Zero.
Yes, hello.
You're live and clear.
Yes, it's Nyasia Rasul from Kakra.
From?
From Kakra.
Okay.
Yes. I myself, I wonder as why whenever these political, when these oppositions they are for their rally, they don't have peace at all. Yeah, and all this is caused by the military and the police people. They are the ones disorganizing every election in Uganda.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. He says that believes that the police and the military have a role to play in disorganizing the elections. All right. Those remain your perspectives, and also I believe that my guests in the studios are going to be addressing those concerns. If I can read some of the messages, roadmap is out. You said the Electoral Commission representative he says that from 6th to 10th August, how can you really conduct such an important activity nationwide for only 4 days? Okay. That's where the problems come from, especially when we don't know what is taking place from the Electoral Commission. UBC?
Hello?
UBC?
Good morning.
A very good morning to you. Your name and where you're calling us from?
This is Desmond from Ginger.
Okay.
First of all, I would like to speak about electoral reforms. And there's a question I'd like to pose. This time around, are prisoners going to be allowed to cast their votes?
Okay.
And secondly, I would like to talk about the security agencies also. Of recent, we've had a top army man talking that of now no person who is a civilian will rule this government. For me, I'm smelling something like in the morning and evening. A coup can happen before these elections. What will be the stake of the Election Commission if such a thing happens? God forbid, but such a thing can happen, because when people start talking like that, I smell that. Many things.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so very much, sir. Robert Segawa says, why change and limit the voters from where they have been voting before? This is part of confusing the voters. Ground Zero? You're live on radio. Okay. Allow me pause calls for now, and I want to give much more time to the guests that we have in the studios to address all the concerns from you, the callers, and also those that are sending in messages. I had read one of the roadmap that is out, and Segawa. James O'Team says political parties registers are voters in Uganda tend to confuse political party registers to be the ones for the Electoral Commission. Like in my community, when people see the NRM register, they tend to confuse it with that government, with the one of government. The Electoral Commission needs to come clear and tell them that political parties have their own registers and they also have their own. Because for those who register for NRM, they think that where they registered from is exactly where they're going to be voting from. That is James O'Team. Samson says, thank you for clearing the air, Honorable Fungalu, about FDC divisions. Museveni left DP a long time ago, but DP is still in existence. And even if Chiza leaves FDC, it will remain. Okay. Someone says iPod must be empowered to be able to empower other political parties. You cannot, if you don't have energy, how do you expect to carry others who are in the problem? All right. Charity says that I don't mind the presence of the UPDF and police at the polling stations. They are there on standby, that anything that may come up as violence, they protect the people of Uganda, their property, and that is their noble mandate. If you are not a thief, why should you be worried about police? That means you are intending and planning to do something. Allow me pause the messages and callers for now, and I go back to the studios for my guests to answer some of those concerns. I will start with you, Tolbert, from Electoral Commission.
The first caller said, are we biased? No, we are not biased. We are...
No, you just are not asking. Telling you that you are biased.
No, we are not biased. We are not biased. We are very transparent in our operations. We are very open in our operations. And we serve all Ugandans equally. That is why we have a roadmap which is 1 year old, informing everybody what we are doing, when we are going to do it. We are now all over, up to the parish level, trying to preach the gospel of the roadmap. And we'd encourage the Honorable, I'm sure he already has it, and they are moving, as he actually has said it, they are tailoring the activities to match with what the National Electoral Commission is doing. So we are not biased. We do our work for everyone. Then the other one, I would relate it to the same. Dennis Tororo, are we independent? Extremely independent. The decisions that we take are grounded in the law, and they speak for themselves. We don't move on the orders of anyone apart from the law. Otherwise, we would be having different situations. Guma in Matuga says we should follow for God and my country. Exactly. As the Electoral Commission, fairness, transparency, and the adherence to the law relating to elections, those are our foundational aims that we aim at. So whatever we are doing, it is for the good of this country. And also, I would relate this by asking all stakeholders, interest yourselves in the work of the Electoral Commission. It is your work. Don't say this is, no. It is your work. What we are doing is you. We are all Uganda. So when for us, we are the guiding body, but what we are doing is for Uganda. If we say there is an update, all Ugandans come up and participate in the activity. Then one who talked about the demarcation exercise was not for only 4 days. It took 10 days in the field. That was from the 6th to the 16th of August 2024. We are there for 10 days for groundwork. And these returns are coming because the exercise, we are going for display now.
And the 10 days we had covered the entire country, that all the people of Uganda are informed about the activities and the engagement that you are into.
Yes, because we are in every part of Uganda. The reforms for prisoners to vote, they are reforms we are waiting for the legislative body to put them into law. Then for us, we shall implement the law when it is gazetted.
Interesting.
There's one which is quite important here about the voting options. Say, no, we are not limiting. Actually, we are giving options to everybody that you can, because we had complaints of people saying, but how do I, if I was registered in, like Honorable says, it was registered in Kampala, but now Honorable is standing in Obong and I want to go and support him. Should I stay in Kampala or you go? So we are saying you are free to register and vote from either where you originate, say originate from Obongi, or you go and register there, or I register in Kampala where I'm residing. Now, if you are registered in Kampala, you can transfer and go to the register of Obongi and vote from there. So the options are for the voter to decide where they feel comfortable to vote from.
Interesting. Honorable Fungalu.
Yeah, thank you very much. The callers have really shown that citizens are conscious of the voting situation and the challenges therein. I thank all of you. In the interest of time, the first caller from Kampala here, the second caller from Tororo, Guma from my home base, Matuga, where I live. All of you who have called, even this gentleman from Kakira, the issue of peace for all, Jethro, this one from Jinja. Now, the critical issues here are about the environment, the enabling environment for free and fair elections to take place. This message from the army that no civilian will rule Uganda as president is like treason, actually. It's against the constitution of the Republic of Uganda. And if you are driven by this, you are inviting trouble to yourself even within the army. Suppose, by the way, people who are responsible for peace in Uganda are those who are from the opposition, who say we should compete for power by the ballot, not by the bullet. Suppose we say, it is not possible for anybody to take any position by the ballot. You should go for the bullet. It means there will be chaos. There will even be competitors for power within the military. There will be very many people who will be interested in power, like my brother, my OB, General Muhoozi, clearly has shown that he wants to take power from the father. Now we are waiting for another person also from the army. Now it is allowed for people who are in uniform to talk politically, contrary to the law. My OB, I call him OB because we all went to St. Mary's College, Kisubi. That was where I went. I did my A-level in St. Mary's College, Kisubi. We have our OB network. We talk among ourselves. He went there also and studied in Kisubi. Now, this is an unfortunate situation, a very wrong statement which has come from my OB. How do you say a civilian cannot rule Uganda after Museveni? This is different from the law. This is different from what the law says.
Okay.
So, for me, I say that statement should be disregarded. Ugandans should prepare for a peaceful transition from President Museveni to another president and a civilian president. The constitution of the Republic of Uganda must be tested fully without this amendment and amendment and amendment. You see, one of the bad things which is likely to happen to Uganda is this proposed amendment, constitutional amendments, which are coming to the floor of Parliament by Honorable Norbert Mao, the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. One which says that the people of Uganda will no longer participate in the election of the president. The powers of the people to elect the president will be removed from them and given to a few number of people, MPs.
But the people.
This is not our formula in Uganda. For us as Uganda, from the time people came under this constitution, the thing is Ugandans need every leader to be accountable to them, especially the national leaders, even including the chairperson of LC5. If the chairman of LC5, LC3, LC1 is accountable to the people because the people are the one who elected him, what about the president who is even more with a bigger responsibility? The president must be answerable to the people directly, not a member of a small clique of MPs who come here and sometimes through wrong ways. Some even MPs who come here may not have the capacity to reason and to advise and to guide properly. So the president should be elected by the people. The power of the people to elect the president must not be removed from them. So these are some of the things which are unfortunate. But I would like to tell you, my brothers and sisters who are enjoying power, because President Museveni, a military man, has made it possible for you to enjoy like this. Don't competition to the military, that the competition should be military only. Because it is possible for people to compete for power within the military.
Yeah, let's comment on that.
Through coups, military, God forbid, we don't want to go there. We want a peaceful, democratic country where elections are for all people. The army has its role of protecting the territory of Uganda and sovereignty of Uganda. The police has its role. They should not get involved in this. If you talk about you left out the prison. The prison people. General Muhoozi did not mention the prison. The prison officers.
And police.
And he only mentioned that the next president will either be a soldier or a policeman. What about the prisoners?
Thank you, Honorable.
Not the prisoners, but the prison officers.
Thank you.
Thinking is wrong. Must be dismissed and rubbed off.
Okay, let me bring in Dr. Lawrence, iPod, position especially on regard to the concerns of the people of Uganda who participated in this program by calling and sending their messages.
Thank you very much to the listeners for making time to, first of all, listen in and make that contribution. I'll just point to two things. One, I think it was Samson who, is it Samson or some a message you said IPOD must be empowered to empower other political parties. Yes, we know that the terrain of democracy keeps changing. It needs constant building and all that. And so before we go to our member parties, we ensure that we also have a certain level of capacity, because you can't give what you don't have. But let me talk about, because I've had a number of people talk about security, UPDF and the police, and the elections. Afrobarometer recently published a report, and the report was a national survey that spoke to, among other things, violence during elections. And what is surprising is that, one, the people who were asked said 48% of Ugandans felt that where opposition is, there is more likely to be a source to be violence. 48%. And 36% said NRM, in terms of the likelihood of causing violence. 48% said opposition and 36% said NRM. But that same report also said that when we talk about suppliers of violence, it is interesting that security agencies were not part of the leading suppliers of violence. Instead, it is the young people.
The youth.
The youth.
The Generation Z.
Yes, are the leading suppliers of violence. Now, from that perspective, we need to be asking ourselves a question. The young people, if they are the leading suppliers of violence, who is a driver? Because like we see oftentimes, these young people will be acting on behalf of politicians. So Honorable Caps here will have a group in the constituency, a brigade in quotes, to counter anything that sort of comes between him and his victory. Security agencies will come in to probably quell. So I think at the end of the day, we need to look at ourselves and say, okay, if all this is happening, who should we point to? And then finally,
let me give some information on this one.
Please.
There are cases where violence was started by the army. First of all, these statistics which are given by Afrobarometer are false. There is a statement which says, lying by statistics. A statistician can construct some data collection and then analysis to produce a certain picture which is already in the mind of the people. We were for by-elections in Lira. Not in the Lira, but in Omoro, first of all. Omoro, where people are in the office, in the evening where the campaigns are over, people are now deploying themselves that now we are going tomorrow, you will go to this place, you will go to this place. I was there in the by-election in which the late Right Honorable Jacob Olanya died, and then he was to be replaced. They saw him rounded us up in our offices, arrested and beat up people. It was at night even.
Even when there was no violence
meeting,
or
no
people
violence.
demonstrating.
People are busy actually arranging that tomorrow for you will go that side. You take your documents. These ones are here. Then again, another one in Soroti, in the by-elections where my brother Honorable Atan Moses was removed from parliament by court, and then we went there for another by-election. He contested again. There, members of the FDC, when they were sleeping, even at night, the exercise was over, people were in their rooms, they rounded up all the team.
Okay.
Soldiers, police, they beat people up. Our leaders were arrested and taken to Dokolo police station. Another one happened in Katakwi. That one I was there. We were going in the morning together. We were in a convoy with the people of the Electoral Commission now, going to our respective places of deployment. I was in charge of a sub-county called the Ongongoj sub-county in Katakwe. We found ourselves in the morning when we woke up that you want to go, all our vehicles were deflated. And we traced and we found those things were done by security people.
But
now,
most times, Honorable, when we have such situations and cases...
There are certain things, let me conclude with this. In Singiro, by the way, my brothers from the north, when we moved around, the country doing an evaluation, the 2021 post-election performance evaluation, we were shocked in Western Uganda. When people confessed to us that you people from the north, you people from other parts of Uganda other than Western Uganda, you are better. At least in your place, you vote. In Western Uganda, there is no voting. They declare people. You come to the polling station by 10, 11, they say, you go back, it is over. They gave us a list of soldiers, army officers. We have them.
But we also have some cases in Western Uganda where opposition has been leading honorable.
No. There are districts like Isingiro. You go and investigate.
Honorable Mujike is from FDC and has been a member of parliament and winning elections in Western Uganda.
And sisters in Western Uganda. And these are largely NRM, by the way. In NRM,
for the information,
party, it is just...
Dr.
I would like to take this, that this is statistics. If you are the real leader of IPOD,
Honorable, let me give time to Dr. Rollins to finish his point.
Look at the statistics with the questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dr. Rollins, you have your time, please.
Yeah, I am a researcher, and so I normally look at the methodology and see how, a conclusion is drawn. Although, of course, yes, there are situations, there are things they call bias confirmation. Yes. Yeah, those things can be there. But I want to believe in the credibility of this. Nevertheless, the report did not, for instance, exonerate the security agencies. But it simply talked about the magnitude of the incidences, that it is more likely that this will be.
That is a wrong
I may not, I'm not the author of the report, but I'm just making reference to it. And I think, Honorable, even without dismissing it, we may, for instance, look at the merits without, let's put away the extents and say, okay, maybe the security agencies are doing it extremely high or extremely low, but let's look at the substantiality of the fact that, yes, is it true that the young people are suppliers of violence?
You started with the opposition. You asked given here.
Yes.
Give me examples like the one I've given you. That we were in Moro. It happened like this. The army came, beat people, arrested people in Soroti. Give us examples where the opposition in place XYZ started violence.
Let first Dr. Rollins finish on that point in seconds, sir.
I may not go into the nitty-gritties. Into the nitty-gritties.
As you conclude on that, time is not on our side.
The whole report. But I think for us the question is whether we believe in the report of Afrobarometer or not, it is out there. It's a matter of checking that, look, the electoral process, elections are a process. And that right from the start to the very end, we must ensure that everybody along that supply chain of the electoral process enjoys their right, they do the correct things, if we are going to have a product of leaders that are chosen based on the will of the people. Okay. That's the most important thing.
Interesting.
And 1 minute. One of the callers raised it and said that, people confuse the registers of political parties with electoral commissions, I made a remark a little before Honorable Caps came in. And I said that, look, it is incumbent upon all, whether you are on the opposition or in NRM, if you go out to the people, tell them that, please, you must go and have this done. Because these are, after all, your members. And the reason why I said that is that in Uganda, unlike in countries like US, where, for instance, when you go to register, if Electoral Commission were to do it, maybe in our democracy is not yet developed to that level, where they would say, okay, Lawrence, you are registering as a voter. Where are you inclined? Then I would say, maybe I am inclined to the Farmers' Party, or the Green Ecological Party, that kind of thing. But you need to know that I think even you in FDC, you know that you have very, very few card-holding members. Very few. And if you look at the votes you get and compare them to the card-holding membership, the two don't tally.
Okay.
So there are people card holders, the sympathizers are many. They are area split, but there are differences we know Their districts we would say are either deep yellow or deep blue or deep red, deep, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And all these should be able to give us a picture that even if you were to go there, you should be able to tell the people that, look, please go update your facts in the National Register and play the calendar as Electoral Commission has.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lawrence, that you cleared that. Someone said that once they see the NRM register, they think that it is the one for Electoral Commission, and you have cleared that.
By civil servants, that if you are not registered on the NRM register, you cannot get the goodies of government, like this PDM, like this money is given out in the development programs. There are people whom we know, 311 are opposition. They don't believe in NRM.
But opposition have been benefiting from government programs. Yes. Okay. Especially Dr. Rollins talked about the youth who are predominantly the young population of Uganda, but also when we come into the elections are the ones that tend to fuel the violence that we are talking about. And most of this has been attributed to lack of information that they don't know, and they have not been engaged from the word go. I'm wondering where the Electoral Commission, considering the youth, especially in engaging them, considering that they are the majority in the country, but they also happen to be the majority when it comes to elections. How are you engaging the youth in terms of voter education, which is your mandate?
Thank you very much, Amon. Before that, I wanted to throw just some light on the issue of the registers. You know, Amon, fellow panelists and listeners, the key ingredient in every election is the register. Every register. We have no election. And which register we're talking about is the National Voters Register of the National Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission has allocated, there will be 3 months of auditing the National Voters Register from January, when we're going to do the update. After, we shall have a display in April up to May. 3 months, Amon and listeners. This time is to ensure that we have a clean, credible register for elections. And by the way, for you also to participate in political party elections, Honorable here will attest to this, you must be on the National Voters Register. You have to be a registered voter to contest there. Because you cannot contest when you're not a registered voter. So for registration on the National Voters Register, please, the National Voters Register is key. How engaging the youth? Most of our activities, we are involving the youth to ensure, because they are the ones who inform part of the biggest population. We are having youth leaders on most of our programs that we are running in the districts and at national level. And most of the activities we are doing, like if we are doing temporary works, we are doing what we encourage the youth. Because the more we involve them in participating in our activities, the more they get informed and the more they must spread the information. Yes, the youth are key.
All right.
And we are with them.
Fongalu? On the youth, especially engagement,
still,
and
I
also
informing
the youth.
Statistics. First of all, the Afrobarometer.
But we ended that, Honorable. I remember you.
The issue is coming from there.
You raised the comment
based on the statistics of the role of the youth in promoting violence. Mm-hmm. We would like to ask give us examples where the youth are generally used started violence. Youth generally make the elections joyous. They dance, they sing, they do this kind of things. It is always the NRM. When they are losing the ground, they bring in violence. They instigate, they arrest, they bring police army. This is where the problem is. So this is research statistics does not really tally with the situation on the ground.
Okay.
Now I would like to urge young people to be assertive. You assert yourselves, your roles in this country in making sure that Uganda is governed properly. You are the majority of people in Uganda, given the statistics that we have. the population statistics. So we must make sure that we remain focused, and you are the engine of Uganda's economy. You are the majority. Therefore, don't get discouraged. Don't listen to this blackmail generally that youth are the problem. The problem is NRM and its merger of the military and the politics. This NRM party should be separate. It must be a political party. It must not consider itself as part of the NRA, which was an armed wing of the rebel group called NRM. Okay. UPDF is different. It's a national army. It is not a rebel army. It must be professional, as it says. It must be neutral. The same applies to police and the civil service. They must not incline themselves to the ruling party.
What should the people know, especially during this time, as we prepare for next year and
right
2026?
Now, what people should know and they should participate in, I would like to call upon all of you in Uganda, northern Uganda, the area where I'm in charge, and Ubongi in particular, that the exercise of voter register update, first of all, the mass enrollment of people by the NIRA group, because the things start from there. You must have an ID. There's this process which is going on. I see challenges facing this team of the NIRA in registering people because the roads are bad. Right now, movement from one place to another is a problem. But still, be conscious, socially, economically, and politically. Be alert and be proactive. Participate, go and register. But also, I would like to bring this to the EC.
As your last comment and
is this that there are even attempts of rigging the process to elections, including the register of people, whether by NIRA or by the Electoral Commission. People come and disenfranchise the voters if they know that such an area like this and that is majority opposition. They want to disorganize even the registration process.
Okay.
So the Electoral Commission must be alert. I have been in touch with you. I went to your office. I met the chairman and interacted and shared my views with him.
Thank you, sir.
Let us have another engagement. I invite you to Obongi, where we shall have a meeting involving the Electoral Commission, the army, the police, and the political parties which are all within the area, including NRM. So its roles and responsibilities. We need each other. We are together.
Thank you,
what
Honorable.
we call Uganda and the system for elections.
Thank you so much, Honorable Dr. Lawrence. Your parting shots also on the same. But also, as you give your parting shots, there was one concern, especially on voter buying and electoral practices. Most of the political parties, both on opposition but also in the NRM, have been accusing candidates buying voters. And people attribute this to people not being informed that when you sell your vote, then you don't demand services from the person that you got money from. And that comes from also voter education. In your parting shots, I would love to get your comment, especially now that you're coming from IPOD, which is an umbrella for all the political parties.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to tell Ugandans out there that until you interest yourselves in matters of national interest and go beyond the quick gains from the electoral processes, you will still reap what you've sown. Okay? So some of these things we are seeing are a result of low levels of interest or no engagement at all. And civic engagement is not necessarily a result of the Human Rights Commission not doing what it should do. Well, of course, it may not be doing it to the levels that should be. But Ugandans have given up. They've given up
apathy is too much
on the fact that, whether I go and play my role as I should, probably nothing much is going to change. But that should not stop you from doing what you should. And so this business of, before I give Honorable Caps my vote, he should give me a bar of soap, I think we need to get beyond that, because you'll have sold off your soul for the 5 years he's going to be in Parliament, and if there is no service, you got a reward for your for the vote. that's what I would say on this matter of civic engagement.
Okay,
finally,
last
my
comment.
parting shot, I want to urge all Ugandans that this country existed before we were and will exist after us. It is a responsibility of all of us to ensure that my interest should not be ahead of the interest of this country. Whatever I want, I should think of Uganda living and existing beyond me. And therefore, I need to work towards that. But also the other actors, let us not sacrifice. We can have a balance of peace and rights, enjoyment. I think for me, that's what I want to urge.
Thank you so very much. Talbot?
Yes, sir.
Your parting shots?
I would like to encourage all Ugandans that there is always a better tomorrow. And as the Electoral Commission, we are saying there is always a better tomorrow, and 2026 is going to be a better tomorrow. How are we going to do that? Let us move together. Like what Honorable has said, let us move together, all of us. Once we understand what each of us contributes to this national good called the election, then all these issues that bring out to bias and resentments and what will be resolved. Let us move together. Let us interest ourselves, all stakeholders, into understanding the Electoral Commission at what point and what are we doing. And that is to understand the roadmap. So that once we are all engaged, we are moving together, we shall arrive together.
Interesting. This marks the end of our discussion on UBC Ground Zero, and I want to thank you, our dear guests, that make it a point to come through to educate, to inspire, and also inform the people of Uganda, especially on understanding the electoral processes and to make them informed as voters. Thank you so very much, Honorable Fungalu Kaps Hassan, Deputy President FDC Northern Uganda and MP Emeritus Obongi District, for making time to come through.
Thank you very much.
It's also a privilege and honor to have you, Dr. Lawrence Kabagabe Serwambala, Executive Director, Interparty Organization for Dialogue, IPOD, for making time to this edition of UBC Ground Zero.
Thank you too.
It was also a privilege and honor to have you, Electoral Commission, representing the Electoral Commission and also sharing your perspectives on this forum. To Albert Musinguzi, it was a privilege having you.
Thank you.
And thank you, our dear listener, for being part of us from the other side of radio, and for those who participated in this program by calling and also sending the messages. We can't take that for granted, and we must thank you so very much. And to all the team that I worked with to make sure that this program reaches out to the people of Uganda on the 5 radio stations on UBC Butebo in Eastern Uganda, Western Nile Radio in Alua City, Butebo, Magic 100 FM in Kampala, and also Voice of Bondobujo and UBC Radio, and also streaming live on YouTube. And this program comes back on Sunday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. as a repeat on Sunday on UBC Radio 98.0 FM, 97.4 and 99.4 FM. For God and my country, I'm Bairi Amonobtega. Allow me sign out.
That was Ground Zero Season 2, a production of Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, UBC, inspiring Uganda. It's hot.
We passed it. We didn't know exactly what the problem was on the ground. There is no pretending about the effect of this thing. There's no pretending about it. Nobody showed. It's a problem.
It's balanced.
This is not the stage at which you start planning to tax a commodity like coffee, especially from down there.
It's intellectually engaging.
The Constitution provides that the land must be registered under the custodial tenure system, which is one of those that's recognized by the Constitution.
Ground Zero Season 2, live and syndicated on your public and national broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Don't miss UBC Radio Ground Zero every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We host credible and relevant guests to discuss pertinent issues of national importance aimed at addressing people's concerns.
As a country, if we don't fight this vice of corruption seriously and with honest opinion without any bias, things will not be good for us.
UBC Radio Ground Zero, right here on UBC Radio.
UBC, ensure that the information you give out is factual but also objective, balanced, and complies with the legal and policy requirements for the media.
Ground Zero program is always live, loud and clear, every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on UBC Radio, Butebo FM, West Nile FM, and Magic 100 FM, and live stream on YouTube. You can also listen to the repeated broadcast of UBC Ground Zero every Sunday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. UBC Radio, inspiring Uganda. At UBC Radio, all our radio network across the country is committed to inform, entertain, educate, and guide for national transformation.
Our own radio, UBC, should set its own example. Leka bano abatafa ku bantu baffe bagumaza ndowooza Muganda kito kugumaza to divert people. Let our own UBC bring programs to educate the people so that abagala kugumaza babeereyo bagumaza naye naffe they can advise, guide, and people in time will judge the one who is their friend.